Okay everyone, this is PilotNas. Really appreciate everybody on the last video. We flew the Cessna 172, which we're in right now, and we stayed in the pattern. So today we're actually going to be doing an instrument approach into Mather Airport, and just kind of to show you. So these are called approach plates, and what it is this is something when you're doing your instrument flying. There's Jefferson and there's the ones for ForeFlight. Basically what this is telling you where you need to be at. They're almost exactly the same. There might be a few differences. So just to kind of go over this, right now we're looking at Mather. Now usually you would brief this before you'd be like in your run up, you're briefing it, or when you're in flight you also want to brief it as well. But since we're here parked ready to go at runway 20, we're going to take off from Sacramento. We're going to head out there. So if you look here, we're just going to kind of go start here. So this is Mather, KMHR or MHR, Mather Airport, Sacramento, California. We're doing the ILS 22 left. There's the ATIS information, also NorCal approach, and then there's the Mather Tower. There's also ground over here. We have our localizer, which is 111.35, which if you look here, we have it already set. I've already filled out the flight plan in here so that we don't have to actually waste any time. We'll get that going. So the plan is we're actually going to go here to the KMHR intersection, and if you can see here, we need to be at 6,100 feet once we hit that, and then we will go down to 4,800 feet, 2,900 feet. Then the final approach fix is right here. It's Gabe, and that one we need to be at 1,800 feet. And what I did is I put in at 300 feet. If we don't see the runway, we're going to go missed. So our mist is we're going to climb to 700 feet, then we're going to do a climbing left turn to 3,000 on the heading to 090 outbound to the Sacramento VOR, 115.2. So we actually need to change that. So since we're on the ground, we're going to go ahead and change that. So we're going to switch this here. So it was 115. Alright, so now we have that set. The goal is we would go to the Sacramento VOR and we would hold over there. Okay, so we're going to keep this handy so that we can kind of review it. And also because we're doing the ILS, we're going to go down to 298. And if we do not see it, then we go missed, and then we go and we do the missed procedures. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and minimize that. And we're going to get ready to take off. So here we go. All right, final is clear. Rotate 55. Okay, we want to basically be around 70-80. Our climbing checklist. Mixture is full rich. We're going to keep our lights on. Usually once you get around 500 feet, you can start turning. We're going to do a little bit. We're going to kind of go straight out and then come back to Mather, because Mather isn't that far from Sacramento Executive. So, and we want to get up to about 6,100 feet. So. Okay, so we're at 6,100 feet. And the goal is now we are going to continue flying a little bit more, then we're going to enable our procedure, which is what would happen is while you're on your flight plan, once you get close to the airport, we're going to go ahead and we're going to select procedure, and we're going to do activate approach. So we're going to go ahead and scroll into that. So now the airplane is going to take us to the intersection, and we're going to go ahead and bring up our Okay, so here we go while we're continuing flying. If you can see, that's Mather Airport right there. So we're going to fly out till we get to KMHR intersection, and then we're going to basically circle, and then we're going to come back in. We are currently in the clouds. As you can see, we're inside the clouds. So this is how it would kind of look. So we're going to go ahead and continue to fly. And in an instrument flying, you would never be really looking outside. You would be just looking at your instruments. So as you can see, we'll do our check. We're on the proper heading, where our speed is good, our altitude is stable, and we are on our proper. So you never want to kind of look outside when you're on instrument flying. You always want to look at your instruments. Trust your instruments.
Airport information, Sierra 19000 Zulu. Wind 157 at 7. Visibility 10. Sky conditions 1,500 feet. Scattered few clouds at 4,400 feet. Temperature 8. Dew point 10. Altimeter 29.69er. ILS runway 22 left and visual runway 22 right in use. Landing and departing runway 22 left and runway 22 right. VFR aircraft say direction of flight. All aircraft read back halt short instructions. Advise controller on initial contact you have Sierra.
Okay, so we just got the ATIS. So we can always put the altimeter setting. So it's information Sierra. So this is stuff you would do on your way to the airport. We get the ATIS. We went over our plate, the approach plate. Again, you would be wanting to make sure that you kind of review it, continue to look at that, and just making sure that you're flying the aircraft. As again, we're checking. It's like we got into some rain right now. You want to make sure that your pitot heat is on. You know, that's very important when you are in the clouds. So the pitot heat is on, and we can just double check to make sure. Pitot heat is on. Yep. So. If you can see over here on our moving map, we're about to get to the intersection. Okay, we're about to go ahead and enter our holding pattern, but we're not going to hold. We're just going to do the one kind of rotation, and then we'll go ahead and do. We'll go back to our procedure and we do vectors to final, and we'll start our descent. Okay, so there we are. We're getting into the hold right now, and once we kind of come back on the approach, we're going to go ahead and activate the approach. So here we go. So this is considered a teardrop entry. So if you could see, it looks like a teardrop, so that's why they call it a teardrop entry. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and go to procedure. We're going to do activate vectors to final. Okay, so the next, we need to get at I door, we need to be at 4,800 feet. So we're going to go ahead and start our descent. We're going to reduce some power. Making sure our approach course is set to 221. Yep, it's set to 221, so we're good. Okay, so once we pass I-door, we're going to go down to Yoshi, which is 2,900 feet. So we're going to get prepared to do that next. So if you can see, we're a little bit off to the right. If you could see the localizer line there. So we want to get back on track. Okay, we passed I-door, so we're going to go ahead and start our descent. Okay, get back on track. We're continuing, we're not looking outside, we're just making sure. So our next Yoshi, we need to be at 2,900, which if you can look on the moving map, it's coming up soon. Again, we're checking everything. As you can see, we're right on the proper alignment. Localizer is a straight line. Usually the glide slope won't kick in until you get to it's called the final approach fix. And our final approach fix is called GADBE, G-A-D-B-E. And at that point, we need to be at 1,800 feet. And then once that clicks, then we can use our go. But right now, we just want to make sure that we are following the line all the way down to, and are doing our steps. So after Yoshi, our next one is GADBE. I guess that's how you say that. And then we'll go down to 1,800. So, and then at our final approach fix, we make sure our landing lights are on. We're going to reduce power to 1,800. Sorry, yeah, about 1,500. We're going to put 1 notch of flaps. We're going to keep that 1 notch of flaps all the way down till we have visual of the runway. We want to make sure that at 298 we do see the field, or we're going to have to go missed. Okay, making sure everything is looking good. So we're going to go ahead and put mixture rich. Fuel selectors on both. We're just going to verify. We're going to scroll down and check. All right, fuel selectors on both. All right, so we're going to make sure we start our descent at 1,800 feet. Need to stay at 2,900 until you get to Yoshi. So 2,900 and above is once we get to Yoshi, which is coming up right now. Okay. Like we are past it, so I'm going to go ahead and start our descent. Okay, so once we get to GADBE, we're going to go ahead and reduce power to about 1,500, and we're going to put our first notch of flaps. And then what we'll do is we'll go ahead and continue down to 298. Okay, I do see the lighting system there, so we do have the airport in sight, so that's a good sign. So now we actually can go all the way down, because the 298 if we couldn't see that, we can go up to 298, but since we could see that, technically we're good. We can go all the way to the landing. Right, so once we get that, we'll go ahead and start our descent. Okay, so power to 1500. First notch of flaps. Okay, we just want to make sure that the diamond is lined up. So it looks like it's lined up right there. We don't want to get below the diamond. Okay, it's perfect. There's the airport in sight there. Again, we want to make sure we do our check. You would do a GUMPS check. Well, the GUMPS stands for gas, right? You want to make sure your fuel selector is on both. Now, undercarriage, if you had an airplane with retractable gear, you want to make sure that's down. You got the 3 greens. And then we want to make sure mixture is full rich. And then if you had prop mixture, then you do that. But for us, because we're in a single engine airplane, really what we want to make sure is our mixture is rich, our fuel selectors on both. And also, I usually put in making sure safety belts. If you have anybody with you, you want to make sure that you have, you want to make sure that everybody's wearing their safety belt. Okay. So we're a little high, if you can see the diamond. But again, because we have the airport in sight, we're not really relying on it anymore. Now you would, so technically if we were still in the clouds right now, we'd have to wait till we get down to 298. But since we have the airport in sight, as you can see the lights there, the Vazzy lights, wide over right, that means we're out of sight, we're a little high. So we're going to continue coming down here. I put in my full flaps. And there we are. So we'll go ahead and get... So now you're just doing a normal landing. You're not really using your instruments at this point. But it's always good to try to make sure that you are kind of on the proper glide slope, lined up with the runway. Then once we get past the numbers, we go power to idle. Alright, power to idle. We're going to lift the nose up. So you basically want to lift up past the end of the runway there. Looks like we flared a little bit. Here we go. Alright. We did an ILS into runway 22 left. Alright, well, I hope you enjoyed that. We're going to go ahead and just taxi off, go park the aircraft. And then we'll, usually after you land, you want to do a after landing checklist. And once we get off the runway, so you continue to tax, roll until you get off. And usually it looks like it's coming up right here. So we'll make sure that we slow down. Alright, so I'm going to stop right here. Go ahead and put our flaps up. We can turn off our strobe and our landing light. We can kind of lean the mixture a little bit since we're on the ground. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that flight. Instrument flying is really fun, you know. It's really, you kind of use your skills, you know, because you're now flying on instruments. You know, when we're all starting off, we're all considered VFR pilots, you know, we're using visual flight rules. And then when you get to fly on instruments, it's a whole different ballgame.